Welcome to the Heartbeat Chronicles, the podcast that delves into the intricate dynamic of love, sex, relationships, lifestyle, journaling, counseling, and therapy, and the messy in between. Get ready to explore the various aspects of life's heartbeat and discover insightful conversations that resonate with you. In today's episode, we continue to delve into the intricate art of balancing parenthood, partnership, and self-identity. Parenthood can be one of the most rewarding experiences, but it also comes with its challenges, especially when you're trying to juggle being a great parent, maintaining a connection with your partner, and not losing sight of who you are as an individual. To help us unpack this, I'm joined by an incredible guest with unique perspectives on balancing these roles. Gavin Stone, a former intelligence operative turned parenting expert who's reconnected with his estranged daughter after 20 years and is now balancing his family dynamic with stepchildren, his youngest daughter, and the challenges of life. In this episode, we'll explore how he managed to stay grounded in his role as a parent, partner, and individual, and we'll dig into the real strategies he uses to avoid exhaustion, keep resentment at bay, and continue nurturing his relationships. Get ready for a heartfelt and insightful conversation, because being a parent is messy, but it's also filled with love, growth, and plenty of laughs along the way. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another heartfelt episode of Heartbeat Chronicles, where every beat truly tells a story. I'm your host, Riley Mitchell, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. For those of you joining us for the first time, let me be the first to officially welcome you to our amazing community of soulful ambassadors. That's right. Just by pressing play, you've become part of our wonderful family where we share, grow, and connect together. And can you believe it's already March? Time really does fly when you're surrounded by amazing souls like yourselves. There's something magical about the start of a new month. It's like opening a fresh chapter in our ongoing story together. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling especially energized and inspired as we step into this new month together, ready to explore, learn, and grow as a community. Last week, part 1, we dove deep into the beautiful chaos of parenthood with the incredible Jess Caufelt. And wow, what a conversation that was. For those of you who missed it, Jess shared some truly eye-opening perspectives about the journey of becoming a parent. The rawness and honesty of that discussion still has me thinking. If you haven't caught that episode yet, don't worry. I've got you covered. You can find it over on our Instagram at heartbeat_chronicles. Or if you prefer, check out my personal page at _soulful_Riley. And of course, there's a direct link waiting for you right in the description box below. Trust me, you'll want to catch up on part 1 before we continue this powerful conversation about parenthood today. You know what makes this podcast so special? It's you, our amazing, soulful ambassadors who inspire the topics we dive into. This particular series actually came from one of our listeners who's about to embark on the incredible journey of parenthood with their partner. They reached out, asking for guidance and wisdom about what lies ahead. Now, being a relationship-focused podcast, I knew we had to approach this from a unique angle, one that weaves together the intricate dance of partnership with the transformative experience of becoming parents. But here's the thing, I'm not a parent myself, and I believe in keeping it real with you all. That's why I knew I needed to bring in voices who've lived this experience, who could share their raw, unfiltered stories of this beautiful journey. These amazing parents who've joined us aren't here to preach or tell you there's only one way to do things. They're here to share their honest experiences, their struggles, their victories, and those precious moments that transformed them. Because that's what we're all about here. Authentic conversations that touch the heart and help us grow together. You know, becoming a parent is this incredible life-changing journey that fills our hearts with so much love. But let's be real. Between midnight feedings, endless diaper changes, and trying to remember if we actually brushed our teeth today, maintaining that romantic spark with our partner can feel like quite the challenge. But here's the thing. Keeping that connection alive isn't just about having a happy relationship. It's about creating a loving, stable environment for our little ones and showing them what a healthy partnership looks like. Our kids are always watching, and they're learning from us about love, respect, and relationship dynamics. Today, we're diving into some real practical ways to keep that spark burning bright while navigating the beautiful chaos of parenthood. I'm talking about strategies that actually work in the real world. Because let's face it, those romantic comedy ideals aren't exactly compatible with a teething baby or a toddler who's just discovered the word no. So stick around as we explore how to nurture your relationship while being the amazing parent you are. Let's talk about one of the most crucial foundations for keeping your relationship strong: date nights and open communication. I know what you're thinking: date nights with kids, but trust me, they don't have to be elaborate or expensive to be meaningful. First, let's tackle the date night situation. The key is being intentional about scheduling them. Pull out your calendars right now. Yes, literally right now. And block out some time. Even if it's just 2 hours after the kids go to bed, that time needs to be sacred. No chores, no scrolling through your phone, just focused time together. For at-home date nights, get creative. Transform your living room into a cozy movie theater with blankets and popcorn. Cook a special meal together after the kids are asleep. Have a wine and cheese tasting in your backyard. One of my favorite ideas is recreating your favorite restaurant meal at home. Put on some music, light some candles, and suddenly your kitchen table becomes a romantic spot for two. Now, for those times when you can get a sitter, make the most of it. But here's a pro tip: don't put too much pressure on these outings. Sometimes a simple walk around the neighborhood holding hands or grabbing coffee at a local cafe can be just as meaningful as a fancy dinner. But here's the real game changer: communication. You need to talk about more than just who's picking up the kids or what's for dinner. Schedule regular check-ins with your partner, where you can openly discuss your needs, desires, and expectations. Maybe one of you is feeling touched out after a day of holding the baby and needs some alone time before physical affection. That's okay. The key is expressing these needs without judgment. Try starting these conversations with "I feel" statements rather than accusations. Instead of "you never help with bedtime," try "I feel overwhelmed handling bedtime alone." See the difference? It opens up dialogue rather than creating defensiveness. Remember, your partner can't read your mind, no matter how long you've been together. If you need more support, more affection, or just 15 minutes to shower in peace, say it. These honest conversations might feel uncomfortable at first, but they're the building blocks of a stronger relationship. Let's dive into the daily practices that can keep you connected with your partner, even during the busiest parenting days. These are the small moments that add up to a strong, lasting bond. Think about your morning routine. Could you wake up just 5 minutes earlier to share a cup of coffee together before the kids are up? That quiet moment, just the two of you, can set a beautiful tone for the entire day. It doesn't need to be a long conversation. Sometimes just sitting together in comfortable silence is enough. Physical touch throughout the day is incredibly powerful. I'm not talking about grand romantic gestures. It's the simple things: a quick hug when you pass each other in the hallway, a gentle hand on their shoulder while they're doing dishes, or a kiss that lasts just a second longer than usual when saying goodbye. These tiny moments of connection tell your partner, "I see you and you matter to me." Creating daily rituals doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's a quick text during lunch break to share something that made you think of them. Or perhaps it's a 6-second hug before bed. Yes, specifically 6 seconds, because that's how long it takes for your bodies to release those feel-good bonding hormones. One practice I absolutely love is what I call the daily appreciation moment. Each day, share one specific thing you appreciate about your partner. Not just "thanks for helping with the kids," but something like, "I loved watching how patient you were teaching our daughter to tie her shoes today." Being specific makes it more meaningful and helps your partner feel truly seen. Consider creating a bedtime ritual that's just for the two of you. Maybe it's spending 5 minutes sharing the highs and lows of your day or having a quick shoulder massage exchange. These moments don't need to lead anywhere. They're about connection, not expectation. Remember those little notes your partner used to leave you when you were dating? Bring that back. Stick a Post-it note on their coffee mug or send a random "thinking of you" text during the day. These small gestures say, "You're still the one I choose," every single day. The key to making these practices stick is keeping them simple and manageable. Don't try to implement everything at once. Pick one or two that resonate with you and make them part of your daily routine. Over time, these small acts of love become habits that strengthen your connection, even in the midst of busy family life. Let's talk about keeping that romantic spark alive because let's face it, Sometimes between diaper changes and bedtime stories, we forget how to flirt with our own partner. But bringing back that playful energy is easier than you might think. You know what's really fun? Sending flirty texts throughout the day. Nothing too crazy, just a simple can't stop thinking about your smile or remember that time we. These little digital love notes can create such wonderful anticipation for when you'll see each other again. Try bringing back some of that early dating energy. Remember how you used to dress up just to impress them? Why not surprise them by wearing their favorite outfit of yours just because? Or use their favorite pet name that you haven't used in ages. Speaking of surprises, they don't need to be grand gestures. Hide their favorite candy bar in their car. Leave a lipstick kiss on their bathroom mirror. Write "I love you" on the steamy shower door. These playful moments can make ordinary days feel special. Now, let's talk about new experiences. When was the last time you tried something completely new together? It doesn't have to be bungee jumping. Maybe it's taking a cooking class online after the kids are asleep, or learning to salsa dance in your living room. Sharing new experiences creates fresh energy and gives you something exciting to talk about beyond parenting duties. Create little games just for the two of you. Maybe it's a secret signal that means "I love you" when you're in public, or a private joke that only the two of you understand. These shared secrets can make you feel like teenagers again, in the best possible way. Don't underestimate the power of novelty in your daily routine. Take a different route on your evening walk. Eat dinner by candlelight on a random Tuesday. Dance in the kitchen while doing dishes. Sometimes just changing the scenery a little bit can make everything feel fresh and exciting again. And here's something really important. Don't wait for the perfect moment to be playful or romantic. Sometimes the most magical moments happen when you're both exhausted and in your pajamas, but you decide to have an impromptu living room picnic anyway. It's about creating those moments, not waiting for them to happen. Let's dive into what might be the most crucial aspect of keeping your relationship strong, being each other's biggest supporter, and creating space for emotional growth. You know those moments when your partner comes home excited about something that might seem small to others? That's your cue to be their personal cheerleader. Picture this. Your partner finally managed to get through their entire morning routine without hitting the snooze button. Instead of just nodding, make it a celebration. "Look at you, conquering the morning. I'm so impressed by how you're working on this." These moments of acknowledgement can transform an ordinary achievement into something special. Gratitude is like relationship fuel. The more you use it, the further you'll go together. Try this. Instead of the usual "thanks for doing the dishes," get specific. "I really appreciate how you always remember to wipe down the counters exactly the way I like them. It makes me feel so cared for." It's amazing how detailed appreciation can make routine tasks feel meaningful. Sometimes the best way to show love is by recognizing when your partner needs some alone time. Maybe they've had a long day of meetings followed by an evening of kid wrangling. Instead of demanding attention, try saying, "Why don't you take a relaxing bath? I'll handle bedtime tonight." This kind of emotional awareness shows you're really tuned into their needs. Let's talk about those high-stress moments when everything feels overwhelming. That's when being a cheerleader really counts. When your partner is doubting themselves about a work presentation or feeling overwhelmed with parenting, step in with specific encouragement. "Remember how brilliantly you handled that client meeting last month? You've got this same energy now." Growth in a relationship isn't just about the big moments, it's in the daily choice to see the best in each other. When your partner is trying something new, whether it's meal planning or starting a side hustle, be their safety net. "I believe in you, and whatever happens, we'll figure it out together." And here's something we often forget. Celebrating each other's personal growth actually brings you closer together. Whether it's a promotion at work, finally mastering that yoga pose, or successfully getting all 3 kids to school on time, make these wins feel significant. Your enthusiasm for their achievements, big or small, builds a foundation of trust and support that strengthens your whole relationship. Remember, giving space doesn't mean becoming distant. It's about trusting that sometimes a little bit of me time leads to better we time. When you both feel supported in pursuing your individual interests and having solo adventures, you bring fresh energy and stories back to your relationship. Remember those early days of your relationship, those butterflies, the excitement of discovering each other, and those little moments that made you fall in love? Well, just because you're parents now doesn't mean those sparks have to stay in the past. Let's talk about how to bring that magic back while creating new, memorable moments together. Try this sometime. Pull out those old photos from when you first started dating. Look at how young and carefree you were. Share stories about what you were thinking during those moments. Remember our first date when you spilled coffee all over yourself but tried to play it cool? These memories aren't just nostalgic, they're reminders of what drew you together in the first place. You know what's really fun? Recreating those early dates, but with a parental twist. If your first date was at that Italian restaurant downtown, order takeout from there and set up a candlelit dinner at home after the kids are asleep. Sure, you might be wearing sweatpants instead of that perfect first date outfit, but sometimes that's even better. Now let's talk about surprises. They don't need to be grand gestures. Small, unexpected moments can light up your whole relationship. Slip a love note into their laptop bag, send a flirty text in the middle of their workday, or show up with their favorite coffee just because. These little surprises say, hey, I'm still thinking about you, even in the chaos of parenting. Here's something crucial. Keep your conversations varied and interesting. Yes, the kids are important, but remember you're more than just parents. Ask about their dreams, not just about tomorrow's soccer practice. What would they love to learn? Where do they want to travel? What's that crazy idea they've been too afraid to share? These conversations keep your connection deep and dynamic. Creating new experiences together is like adding fresh kindling to your relationship's fire. Try something neither of you has done before. Maybe a cooking class, dance lessons, or even just exploring a new neighborhood together. When you step out of your comfort zone as a team, you're not just having fun. You're building new layers of trust and shared experience. Remember, the goal isn't to recreate exactly what you had before kids. It's about finding new ways to feel that same excitement and connection while embracing who you've become together. Your relationship is like a great book. The early chapters were amazing, but the story keeps getting better as you write it together. Hey, parents, I've got something special just for you that I'm really excited to share. As we talk about keeping that spark alive, I want to introduce you to Beducated's Intimacy Online courses. These aren't just your regular relationship courses. They're specifically designed for parents who want to maintain that deep connection while juggling the beautiful chaos of family life. Right now, we've got an exclusive 25% discount for our Heartbeat Chronicles community. These courses cover everything from rekindling romance to deepening emotional intimacy, all designed to fit into your busy parent schedule. You can learn at your own pace, in the privacy of your home, maybe during that precious nap time or after the kids are in bed. Getting your hands on this offer is super easy. Just head over to the link in our description box or find us on Instagram at heartbeat_chronicles or my personal account at soulfulriley. When you're ready to dive in, just use the coupon code HEARTBEAT at checkout to claim your 25% discount. Consider it my little gift to help you keep that spark burning bright in your relationship. Because let's be honest, happy parents make for a happy home. Wow, we've covered so much ground today, and I hope you're walking away with at least a few new ideas to try in your relationship. Remember, keeping the spark alive isn't about grand gestures or perfectly executed plans. It's about those small, consistent efforts that add up to something beautiful. Maybe you're thinking about trying those morning check-ins, or perhaps scheduling your first at-home date night. Whatever resonates with you, start small. Pick one or two ideas and make them your own. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to romance, especially in parenthood. I'd love to hear what works for you. Share your own relationship strategies with us. Maybe you've got a genius idea that other parents could benefit from. Drop us a message on Instagram at heartbeat_chronicles, or if you prefer, send us an email. Your story might be exactly what another parent needs to hear. The beautiful thing about this parenting journey is that we're all in it together, figuring it out as we go. So let's keep this conversation going. Your experiences, your challenges, your victories, they all matter. And they all contribute to our collective wisdom as parents who are committed to keeping love and romance alive while raising our little ones. All right, soulful ambassadors. Before we dive into this conversation, I want to give our guests the floor. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Gavin Stone. I'm a former spy, body language expert, ranked number 9 in the world by Global Guru's Top 30 2024. I'm a best-selling author of both fiction and non-fiction, and I'm here today to kind of share my insights on parenthood.
Gavin, welcome to Heartbeat Chronicles. Your story is truly one of a kind. 20 years in the security and intelligence industry, ranked as one of the top body language experts in the world, a best-selling author, and now a full-time father who left the world of espionage to focus on family. That's an incredible shift. I can't wait to dive into your journey, reconnecting with your estranged daughter after 2 decades, parenting your youngest with the skills you learned in intelligence, and navigating the complexities of a blended family. There's so much to unpack, and I know our listeners are going to take away some powerful insights from you. So, Garvin, our soulful ambassadors might not know your story. Maybe you can give us a brief on that?
Sure. So, my wife had three boys when I met her. She separated from their father. So I have three stepchildren of different ages, and they're all older and grown now and left home. But that wasn't the case when we met. The youngest lad was still living with us.
Hmm.
We have a daughter together, and I also have a daughter and a son from previous relationships. My daughter I've just been reunited with after 20 years.
Okay.
And after that reuniting, she told me that she is trans, so that was a surprise.
Hmm.
My oldest stepson is gay, so that was something that happened that kind of helped me to understand a little bit from a parent's point of perspective, give me an advantage on dealing with that.
Hmm.
And then my youngest daughter has recently turned 12, so we've got a good mix of ages and a lot going on. So a
Yeah.
very blended family.
Yeah, it's a blended family for sure. Gavin, your career in intelligence and espionage is fascinating. How did your experiences in that world shape your approach to parenting?
It's been useful to me in the terms of turning the tradecraft that I learned into kind of a subject for my daughter to help to keep her safe. So, I mean, as a parent, obviously that's my main priority. So, I've used a lot of the training that I've got to kind of improve areas like her situational awareness or her people skills and just being able to read situations. So that's definitely been a massive advantage for me. And a bit later on, I
Hmm.
can probably go into some of the methods I used, to do that.
That is interesting. You went from training operatives to writing books and now working on a public event for elite spy training in everyday life. How has that transition been for you?
Well, it was a lengthy challenge, but at the same time, an educational and rewarding one because it's something that I've gone from living in the shadows, as it were, and kind of doing my job and work unnoticed to going right out there into the public eye. And now, for the first time, I'm kind of trying to get publicity rather than kind of stay anonymous and disappear. So it's a complete opposite for me.
Hmm. Okay, let's talk about your estranged relationships. Reuniting with your oldest daughter after 20 years must have been incredibly emotional. Can you share what that moment was like for you?
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Actually happened over social media.
Hmm.
I'd come home and I sat down and I noticed I'd got a message and it was unusual because it was a message request rather than a direct message. So I thought, okay, who's this? And normally when it comes to message requests, I don't take too much notice of them. I just stick to the normal messages. But for some reason, I felt the urge to find out what this was straight away. And I just remembered reading this message saying, "Hi, you might not know who I am, and I don't know where to start with all this, but I'm your daughter." And I just sat there in tears because I'd waited so many years to be
Hmm.
reunited with her. And it was just kind of so emotional. I can't even explain. It was just, I just thought, this is it. I finally get to see her and kind of find out what's been happening for the past 2 decades. So yeah, and it was a very surreal moment.
Wow, that must be a very long time. You also have a son you haven't seen in 15 years. How has that shaped your perspective on fatherhood?
So yeah, that's something again which has been a long time. He's now he's 18 years old now, and it's been a long time since I've seen him. I did see him as a toddler when me and his mother were first going through the challenges of trying to live as two separate parents, and again it was something that we had our differences, which worked out in her keeping him from me.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest issue I have with this is um, not so much the punishment on me not being able to grow up seeing my son, but
Mm-hmm.
the worst punishment of the fact that he's been grown up deprived of all the things that he could have had from his father.
Yeah.
He's missed out on all the birthdays and Christmases, all the holidays, all the, the bonding time that we could have had, whether it was riding bikes, shooting, fishing, whatever. He's not been able to do any of that with me because
Mm-hmm.
his mother has kept him from me. So it's not so much about me and what I've missed out on, but more so what he's missed out on, and what he's been kept back. And again, I don't know what he's been told is the other side of it, because I don't know whether he's been told I'm a monster, or whether he's been told, that Daddy doesn't want to know you, or what
Mm-hmm.
story he's been told. And because I'm not there,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of guide him, I don't know whatever narrative he's grown up believing. So he may think I don't even want him, or don't want to know him, and that's certainly not the case. So it's a very difficult situation, and until kind of we are reunited, as it were. If we ever do get reunited, and I'm hoping one day we do, I'm not going to have the opportunity to be able to kind of hear his side of the story as to
Mm-hmm.
what's been told to him.
Okay, yeah. Can I ask, is your daughter and son from the same mother or different mothers?
Different mothers.
Okay, what has been the most challenging part of rebuilding relationships with your older children?
So, I mean, geographical distance has been one difficulty because we live about 200 miles apart. So
Mm-hmm.
that in itself is a hurdle. But on top of all of that, the kind of the worst parts for me is it it's difficult because she's not at the moment calling me dad, because, and understandably, because she doesn't see me as her dad. I'm just a stranger that's in her life. Biologically, I'm her parent, but I'm just a man at the moment that she's
Yeah.
getting to know as her dad, which is kind of difficult for me because I've only ever known her as my daughter. So I'm kind of, it's
Mm-hmm.
upsetting when she's calling somebody else dad who isn't her
Yeah.
dad, because of the fact that he brought her up. And so it's hard to hear, and knowing that they've got an emotional bond that we were deprived of as father and daughter, is kind of upsetting. But so yeah, it's really, really difficult because I'm trying my best to keep smiling and keep being there for her and keep supporting her and saying, yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay, don't worry. But
Mm-hmm.
inside it's hurting. But I'm trying not to let that show on the surface, and hoping that in time the bond will grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did you process and respond when your daughter told you she's trans?
This is a very difficult one because, in all honesty, it's something that I don't believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I find very hard myself to deal with. Luckily for me, I come from a career where I've had to sit in rooms with people with really ill intentions that have completely different beliefs, completely different ideology, and completely different life outlooks from me. And I've had to sit with them and try and at least understand them, or where they're coming from, even if I don't agree with them. So I've had a kind of a warming up to it, so to speak. Like I say, when you have, say, terrorists who want to do harm, and you've got to sit there and listen to their story as to why they ended up in the positions that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very difficult that you can have feelings inside towards this person, but not let them
Mm-hmm.
see that on the outside. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, this is where I've been with my daughter. She has very different beliefs to me,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing that I can say is that, as my daughter, I will support her happiness in whatever she chooses to do.
Yeah.
And whether I
Mm-hmm.
believe in it or not, it's not my place. It's not my job. It's not my
Yeah.
body. It's not my life. It's not my decision. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that's what I said to her. I said, look, I will give you as much support emotionally or in any other way that I can, and that's what I can offer. And again, like I said, it is difficult because when somebody believes so strongly in something that you're completely
Yeah.
opposed to,
Yeah.
it's hard. But yeah, it's not without its ongoing challenges, that's for sure.
That is true because, personally, I have an uncle who is gay. And in African culture, being gay and being part of the LGBTQ plus community is hard to accept, especially in the community I come from, the Luo community. Marriage between a man and a man is seen as strange and even viewed as a taboo, not biblical. He's married to a white man, and they live in the United States. The environment here in Kenya versus the US is totally different. In the US, they have embraced the LGBTQ plus community more fully, whereas here it's not as widely accepted. We don't have very strict laws against it like our neighboring country, Uganda, where it's not embraced at all. Over there, if you're found to be part of the LGBTQ plus community, it can lead to life imprisonment, which is way too harsh. So I get where you're coming from because your beliefs and your daughter's beliefs are different. I feel you on that drift, wanting to put your values and beliefs on the side to support her life choices. That takes a lot of strength and love as a parent. You left the intelligence world to be a full-time father to your youngest daughter. What was the defining moment that made you take that step?
I think it was just the case of I'd put my hand into the fire too many times, and sooner or later I was going to get burned. I've been all over the place in different scenarios, in some really extreme hazard and dangerous conditions, and everything from kind of friendly countries to low intensity conflict zones to kind of all manner of areas, and I'd risked my life too many times to kind of carry on doing it and being lucky enough to get away with it. And then to add to that, I wasn't able to see my oldest daughter grow up through no choice of my own. I wasn't able to see my son grow up through no choice of my own. My youngest daughter, I had that choice, and I didn't want that choice to be taken away from me. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm not going to be the absent father that missed out on his daughter's life growing up because of the fact that I had the option to say, well, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to, either work from home or work locally. And the one child whose life I can be in, I'm going to make an effort to do my best for her.
Yeah, that was a very nice decision. You talked about your youngest daughter, who is clearly gifted. Counting in 5 languages at age 5 is impressive.
9 languages at the age of 5.
Wow.
What techniques from your intelligence training have you used to give her an unfair advantage in life?
So, I mean, when I left working in the field, I did work in for the government for a while to do training of new recruits and seasoned operatives and that kind of thing, to be able to do everything from refresher courses to the new recruits going out into the field and teaching them everything from close protection to human intelligence gathering, investigations, and that kind of thing. And in order to do that, I had to do a lot of time, not only studying about learning, but qualifications to become qualified in teaching and training and as an instructor. And I learned so much about the learning process. And when I mixed that with other research I'd done, I came up with a lot of different methods and techniques for teaching, which just gave me a massive kind of advantage when it came to being able to pass this on to my daughter and the knowledge I'd got. And part of it was like kind of also learning stuff together. So if she came to me and she said, "Oh, Daddy, how is this particular thing made?" It'd be like, "I don't know." If I didn't know, I'd say, "I don't know. Shall we find out? Let's find out together." And it had turned into a research mission that would like kind of, I'd show her how to use open source technology and kind of write and work things out to find out the answer to our questions together. And that in itself made her enjoy learning and the techniques of how we found stuff out and dissected information.
That's really impressive. What has been the biggest challenge in raising a highly intelligent child while ensuring she still enjoys a normal childhood?
One of the hardest things is that she kind of she learns too quick, especially when it comes to human interactions. She's like a sponge because she'll notice everything from body language to cues and avoidance of questions and that kind of thing. And she'll pull me up on it. And she's been doing this since she's been like 7 or 8 years old, and I'll say, she'll say like, "Daddy, can I have cake?" and I'll say something like, well, you've got to have your dinner first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see after. And she's like, you didn't answer the question. You didn't say yes, you can have some cake after dinner. You said I've got to have, and so she's very clever, and she will call me out on a lot of these different things. But I mean, it's been great for her because I learned that a lot of the time, and I look at a lot of successful people, and this is where their strengths lie, not necessarily in academic learning, not in what's on a piece of paper or qualifications they've got, but their ability to be able to connect with other people, and that is what success comes down to. And that alone is a factor that she's really got an advantage on, because she catches pretty much everything. So she's not an easy target to be manipulated, that's for sure.
Okay, that's for sure. She has already studied your body language. She'll be like, this one, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has her intelligence ever led to unique parenting struggles, and how do you navigate them?
Only really the ones I've mentioned where she kind of is too observant for her own good sometimes, and
Mhm.
questions things too much. And I'm blessed in the way that I don't know how many years she hasn't genuinely believed in Santa, but even at 12 now, we still play the game that Santa's coming and things like that. And she plays along, but it's kind of it's an unspoken law in the house that she's not going to tell me, Daddy, I don't believe in Santa anymore, and I'm not going to tell her that Santa's not real anymore. But I know she knows he's not real, and she knows I know it's not real. So we just play the game, So it is a little bit difficult, but other than that, it's I have fun with her, and I don't want to turn learning into a punishment, and that's one of the major areas where while she has fun learning, she's recently gone up into high school, and a lot of the lessons she's
Mhm.
doing are now boring for her because they're
Mhm.
done in the traditional sense,
Yeah.
and that's when it becomes a problem. When she learns with me, the methods I use are a lot more fun, and the trick is to also let her be young and silly from time to
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and not to take it all so seriously.
Mm.
That is lovely. You now have three stepchildren, all boys, each with their own unique challenges. How has that transition been for you?
Yeah, that's been a hard one because the two eldest were kind of pretty much grown up. When I say grown up, they left home, 18 and in his 20s when I got together with my wife, and then the youngest one was about 7 or 8 years old when we got together.
Mhm.
So the oldest two didn't really um I didn't really bring them up or have too much to do with their life
Okay.
in the early stages.
Mhm.
Um, but the youngest one, that was the hardest part because he was 7 or 8 years old. He'd never met his dad. His dad didn't want to know from before he was born.
Mhm.
He decided that he didn't want anything to do with him, and that was the agreement that was reached.
Mhm.
So it was the closest thing he ever had to a dad, and the difficulties for myself was trying to find a balance
Yeah.
where um I'm not trying to at any point kind of replace the daddy hasn't got or anything like that. I'm just
Mhm.
trying to be true to myself, but at the
Mhm.
same time having the boundaries that a parent should have,
Yeah.
and kind of saying, look, this is still my home,
Mhm.
and irrelevant to whether you're my son or you're not my son, or who you are, or the rules in this house are the rules for
Mhm.
everybody.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that you have to, and there were sometimes when I did overcompensate a little bit because of the fact that obviously as an adult, you look at somebody who's grown up without a father. You're the closest thing to a father he's ever had, and
Mhm.
you feel that empathy. So there were times when he got away with more than what I would have probably let him get away with if he was my
Mhm.
own son.
Yeah.
So, and of course that changed when my daughter was on the way, and that
Mhm.
was something that was when it became really difficult because a young girl and a young boy are naturally treated different
Yeah.
anyway.
Yes.
And then I had to be on that very, very thin ice of, well, why does she get this one? I only get that. And why did,
Mm-hmm.
so it was difficult to find that right balance. And I found that the trick most of the time is just
Mm-hmm.
explaining or sitting and asking and saying, look, she's younger, you're older,
Mm-hmm.
you're a boy, she's a girl. What
Mm-hmm.
would you think is the right way of doing this? And let
Mm-hmm.
them come to the conclusion, and you go, yes, that's a good thing. I think we'll go ahead and do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that involvement really, really helps.
That is nice. Your oldest stepson is gay. How have you supported him in embracing his identity?
I mean, the first thing for me is by not making a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't at any point want or wouldn't want him ever to feel unloved because of sexuality.
Yeah.
So it was a point of when he came out and said, I'm gay. It's like, okay, you're still loved, you're still the same person, nothing's any different.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know it's spoken about.
Yeah.
There's no need for you to feel kind of worried or try to hide anything, and that's it. We can get on with our lives, which I think was a big relief for him. And then at the same time, me being me naturally, I kind of I joke about it because I joke about everything. It's just my personality, and of course it's kind of a little bit disarming when he brought one of his close friends around, shall we say.
Yeah.
This was at the point where they weren't in a relationship, but they were it would have been the starting point of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And they cooked this or they made this cheesecake. And I remember sitting there, and it was absolutely delicious strawberry cheesecake. And I sat there and ate a lot, and I went, "Oh," I said, "Oh, this is so nice." I said, "Gay cheesecake is the best cheesecake in the world." I said, "I've got to get me some more of this gay cheesecake," and it became a thing. Whenever he mentioned like this particular person, I was like, "Oh, if he's coming down, he's got to make that gay cheesecake again." So so gay cheesecake became a subject, and because of silly things like that, it
Mm-hmm.
helps him to feel more included and less excluded,
Yeah.
rather than trying to avoid the topic altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it had been a case of, yeah, all right, well, don't sit next to each other and don't talk about gay and don't talk about homosexuality, and and you try and brush it under the carpet, it
Mm-hmm.
it it, it has the opposite of the desired effect. Whereas if you
Yeah.
actually shine a light on it the way I did and make jokes about it, but not in an offensive way, and this is why I get away with a lot of the jokes and people that I kind of
Mm-hmm.
laugh with, is because nothing is ever malicious. It's
Yeah.
just a bit of fun, and it's
Mm-hmm.
making light of a situation, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's enjoyed, and that's why, in my mind, I think it's probably helped him a little bit to feel more at ease with the entire situation.
That is nice. Really nice of you. What's been the biggest challenge in balancing biological and step parenting roles?
Yeah, I think it's been a little bit hard in the sense of the older ones looking at the younger ones saying like, well, why is she having everything that we didn't have, or why
Mm-hmm.
she got this and we had that, and trying to explain to them even as adults now, that they were younger at a different stage of my life and their mom's life, where we weren't in the same position as we are now. So, trying to let them know that we were both still very young when they were kids,
Mm-hmm.
and so therefore we didn't have everything or even the knowledge that we have now. And kind of times and things change, and therefore with that, the way what's available to children changes as well. So explaining to them that they were still loved,
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant to whether it's material things or any other way we live, it's kind of difficult, and trying to remove any barrier of resentment,
Mm-hmm.
and still do things for them that to show that, look, we're still here for you if you need us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard thing, because I think there will always be comparisons
Yeah.
amongst siblings, no matter what, no irrelevant to age or sex or anything else, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's biological parents or not. they will all and siblings, well, they will always do. Oh, his slice of cake's bigger than mine, or he's got more in his cup than I've got in mine. So, and I think that sibling rivalry is just what happens anyway. And as long as it doesn't turn bitter, I think it's okay. It's their way of trying to deal with the world and find out what they think life is. So yeah, my relationships haven't changed individually with any of the children, no matter what the circumstances, because I try my best to remain true to myself and be who I am, irrelevant, and I always try to be as fair as I can with everything I do. So whether another child was adopted or brought into the family or whatever the case may be, or anything happened to change the circumstances, that might change, but I won't. I will still be who I am, and therefore the relationship with any of the children should always remain a constant, no matter what.
How about the relationship between your wife and your other biological kids? Has it affected your relationship with them as their dad?
Yeah, my wife and I, we've had a few conversations with. She at one point thought I was occasionally too strict on her one son, and then, at the time she said, would you be doing this if this was your own child? And I said, yes. This is kind of, they have to learn. They can't just smash something out of temper and not get penalized for it, or whatever the case may be, or so boundaries and responsibilities are extremely important. And I'm not sure. I think she was skeptical, and I'm not sure that she believes me until our daughter came along. And she was saying, like, oh, let's see if you're the same with our daughter, and I am. So that was kind of something that she's like, and it's just recently she's kind of like, oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe you were right, and maybe you weren't being over strict with him as a stepchild. It was just that's kind of how you kind of deal with things as a parent, and there are things to be said for levels of strictness need to be set, not to the point where it's abusive, and not to the point where it's causing harm or even mental or psychological damage to a child, but boundaries and a reasonably strict upbringing definitely create a better and healthier household and relationship.
What has worked for you in keeping the connection alive with your partner?
Lots of alcohol, but mainly for her now. I actually stopped drinking 3 years ago, so but no, we are pretty lucky, to be fair. I mean, we've both got our parents are both alive as well, which is a bonus, which means occasionally we can leave the kids with them if need be, or we can go and have a family holiday with all of us, or we have a holiday where it's just the two of us, but we spend a lot of time traveling and connecting. And then more importantly, it's understanding that timetables are something that must include family time. And that family time can sometimes be just the two of us, or sometimes be all of us as a family.
Okay.
But when it is the two of us, that's when, as a couple, we are, priority. I'll turn my phone off, I'll turn everything off, and we'll spend some time together, whether it's a date night going out or a quiet night staying at home.
Okay.
That is nice. Have there been moments when you felt like you lost yourself in parenthood? How did you reclaim your individuality?
Oh yeah, several times. So I mean, there were times where I I said to myself, I don't want to be my parents growing up, and how they were necessarily with me. And sometimes I find myself defaulting to not what I would normally say, or not what I would want to say, but what I can hear what my dad would say. Much like I open my mouth and my dad's words come out, and then I go, "Oh, you've got to stop this." So, and it's not necessarily that my dad did anything wrong. I just remember as a child thinking, and not wanting to listen. And so I thought, well, I don't want to be that parent where there's kind of that level of I don't need to listen to him, I know better. I wanted to try and be the parent that works things out rather than just tells them that's the way it is and this is what's happening. So, yeah, in that sense, it has sometimes felt like, I'm losing a bit of my own personality, but at the same time, it's also brought out the best in me.
Yeah.
And it's really changed me and who I am as a person by giving me new responsibilities and new challenges to rise to. It's certainly helped to make me grow. And that's the best thing I could ever ask for, because I'm now working to better myself to be better for them.
That is nice. Good for you. It is true. We usually find ourselves acting like our parents even when we don't realize it. And I bet many parents here will relate to that. Managing a household, especially with multiple children and unique family dynamics, can be overwhelming. How do you handle the mental load?
Yeah, that's something that has certainly presented its challenges, especially trying to use the bathroom. But if you can imagine, Christmas is the most chaotic when like the whole family gets together, and it's totally crazy because everybody does have their own kind of personality, and we're all trying to operate around each other in a very small space. So yeah, it has been a massive challenge. But like I say, for me, because of the older ones kind of growing up a little bit now and they're not at home so much, I try to embrace it a little bit and think, well, this is something that I don't get to do too often, so I want to make the most of it when I do get to do it.
What strategies have helped you avoid resentment and exhaustion as a father and partner?
Yeah, so I mean that goes back to like individual time that I mentioned, and this does go with the children as well. So, for example, my daughter and I, we were here. My mom had to go away for a short time not so long back, and we spent a lot of time where we have movie night, and we'll go back and pick a movie from the 1980s, and we'll watch that. The kind of corny, cheesy old movies, Gremlins and Back to the Future and that kind of thing, which she loved. She's still young enough to be able to enjoy and see the good in them, and not quite yet at the age where she's seeing it as daft or picking on the dreadful special effects from the 1980s. And having that time, and then we do other things, like we play a game which we call Splat, where we get post-it notes and we write something on it and we tear it off and we splat it onto the other person's head, and we both have one each and we have to guess what's written on the post-it note. Like, am I a person, am I an animal, am I a food, am I, by asking questions. And that is something, I mean, it's only fun, but it's also helping her to think by asking questions and to ask the right questions to get the answers she wants. So we have those family nights and family games, and sometimes it's just one-on-one, or the other times it can be all of us. And then for me and my partner, obviously, I did mention before that date nights are something that, at least once a month, we try to say, well, let's have at least one night that is just for us, where we can lock the world out and, just kind of say, let's just, enjoy each other and each other's company.
Yes.
Okay, that is nice. You've written a parenting book inspired by your daughter. What's one lesson from it that you wish all parents knew?
Yeah, so I mean, they're all available on Amazon, and the parenting book is called The Positivity Effect. And I've tried to put in some of the things that I've learned, just about kind of the do's and the don'ts that I've come across along the way. And as you say, I've got a very mixed family. So the problem is with parenting books is they tend to write a kind of one size fits all. And what I've done is said, well, that's all well and good for people who've brought up, one boy or one girl, or two boys or a boy and a girl, or what I'm writing from it is a vast experience of different parenting angles. And I've tried to say this might work, and if it does, then it's worth trying and noting that this was a system that worked for me on this occasion. And also saying, if this doesn't work for you, there are other things you can do, and here are some of them. So it's all about trial and error and finding out what works for the parent in the best possible ways. So yeah, I mean, the best lesson, or the one lesson that I'd like to pass on to all parents is, don't try to be perfect. Because if you are constantly putting pressure on yourself to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
then you are constantly going to let yourself down and feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't be perfect. Nobody can be perfect. You
Mm-hmm.
know, yes, for a few days we might be able to do a great job of something, but sooner or later you're going to slip. And don't beat yourself up over it. Don't kind of give yourself a hard time of it. Understand that's part of life, and that these imperfections are probably better for your children because of the fact that that gives them and you an opportunity to learn. So
Mm-hmm.
the biggest key factor is to communicate with your children, especially if you're a new parent,
Mm-hmm.
and explain to them, look, I'm learning too.
Mm-hmm.
You're new to the world, but
Yes.
you're also new to me. So
Yeah.
while you're learning about life and the do's and the don'ts and the ways forward, I'm learning how to be a parent. And that
Mm-hmm.
communication is massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when my son was a little bit younger and I was able to see him, I used to involve him in absolutely everything I did.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was making myself a coffee, he
Mm-hmm.
will be making it with me. I'd hold him in my arms,
Yeah.
and I'd take the top off the sugar pot and I'd give him the spoon, and he'd
Mm-hmm.
he'd get the sugar and try and put it in the cup, and it'd go everywhere, right mess, but it didn't matter because
Yeah.
he was learning, he was involved in everything I was doing. I didn't want to be one of those parents who was constantly, don't touch that, don't touch this, you can't do. Yeah,
Yes.
I thought if I'm doing something, let him see how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get to the age where when you say, right, do you want to come and help me make coffee? And they go, oh no, I'm okay, Dad. I want to play with my toys or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, because by making something taboo or making something restricted,
Mm-hmm.
only adds appeal and adds the desire to mess with things when you're not around. And if it's a boiling hot kettle of water that they're messing with, that's when you can have problems if you're not there. Whereas if you're there to guide them through it and teach them the do's and don'ts and get them involved in everything, then the novelty and the appeal of something being taboo isn't there. And at the same time, they've got the enjoyment of that involvement in everything that you're doing. So it's, that's my kind of go-to with things. If I'm doing something, we're all doing it together.
That is really nice. Actually, I will implement that when I become a parent.
And
Yes.
of course, there is always the reverse psychology here. Is kind of if you really want them to get involved and you really want some help, but you don't want to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, you're washing the car, and I'll give the credit here to a friend of mine called Jim Pyle. He's got a great big RV motorhome, and the one day he had to give it a clean, and he's out there with his bucket and sponge,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't have the energy, and he didn't really feel in the mood for doing it. But he took the bucket and sponge out, and he took the ladders out, and his kids are going, "What are you doing, Dad?" He said, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to wash this motorhome," and they're
Mm-hmm.
going, "Can we help?" I said, "I don't know if you could, do this job." And of course, I go, "Yeah, we can." It's, it's very difficult. I'm not sure. Do you really think you're able to? You up for the challenge? And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, he's sitting back on his deck chair in his front lawn watching the kids wash his RV. So that worked great for him. So credit there to Jim. Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, that was a close one. Looking back, what's one piece of advice you wish you had received before becoming a father?
um, I think it would be to not be too hard on yourself.
Mm.
And remember that time together is way more important than gifts.
Mm-hmm.
They will forget what they had for their fifth birthday and their sixth birthday and their seventh birthday and probably a load of other birthdays, and will probably forget every single toy they've ever had for birthdays and Christmas as a child growing up, the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll never forget that time that you were there for them when you're pushing them down the park and pretending that you're swinging, getting kicked in the face, or the fun times that you have as a parent and a child when it's just the two of you building sandcastles on the beach, or
Mm-hmm.
doing the silly things that parents and children do together. Those are the important gifts, not the toys that come in boxes.
Okay, that is a really nice advice. What's the most rewarding part of fatherhood for you?
Watching excellence grow.
Mm-hmm.
um, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing a soul that you created going from not being able to do something to being really great at doing something, and watching as they get better and better in
Mm-hmm.
every area of their life, and just encouraging them with and whatever their interest, give them equal levels of encouragement, even if you know nothing about it. Just be straight and say, I don't know anything about that, but I'm enjoying watching you learning about it. And it's even better if you don't know something about it, because then they're coming to you and they're telling you things they've learned, and that, they're teaching you. And as long as you've got that level of enthusiasm, and you can say, oh, really? Oh, tell me more. And it really makes a massive difference. And it's great for me to see that.
Yeah, that is powerful. If you could give parents one skill from the world of espionage to use in their everyday lives, what would it be?
It'd be mission priority. And that
Sorry?
is when you get mission priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when you get home, you lock the world out.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're through that front door, you close the front door, you are home. It's now family time.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever is going on at the office can wait till tomorrow, or wherever you work, whether it's a factory, whether it's wherever it is, it can wait until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get, and people don't realize this, you don't get much time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
It flies, and every second really is valuable. So it should be something that you should embrace, and do as much as you can to enjoy every minute of it, and don't let other things prioritize, or other people or other people's problems prioritize and monopolize your time when it's your time with your family.
Yes, setting time for your family should be a priority. Yeah. So I have a few questions from our beautiful, soulful ambassadors that they would love to ask you. We will get to them after the break. Okay, let's get to your questions. How did your background in intelligence shape your approach to fatherhood? That's an interesting one. I imagine the skills you picked up, like observation, patience, and reading between the lines, must play a big role in how you navigate parenting. What's your take on that?
So yeah, I've said for a while there's a lot of evil out there in the world, unfortunately, and we cannot stop all of it. But
Yeah.
we can help to regulate how much exposure there is to it with our children, and how they can best navigate it. So for me, I've tried my best to teach them observational skills and situational awareness, and human behavior, and different things that are going to help them to stay away from trouble, or if trouble starts, to get out of the area as fast as possible to safety, and just general things that I've learned that would help me in a situation if ever there was a really bad scenario that I'm able to then pass on to them.
Mm-mm. So, another soulful ambassador asks, what techniques or skills from your career have helped you become a better parent? I can imagine things like strategic thinking, staying calm under pressure, and maybe even a bit of negotiation come in handy when raising kids. What specific skills have made the biggest difference for you as a parent?
So observational skills are definitely a huge thing, and luckily, with the kind of deception detection levels I've got, it's brilliant, and you don't always need it as a parent. When you come home and they've got all chocolate cake around their mouth, and you go, "Did you eat Daddy's chocolate cake?" And they go, "No." You're like, "You lying to me?" So it is easier, but at the same time, it's always helpful, because observational skills are something that, when you're watching your children, definitely have been an advantage to me. So, like I said, situational awareness, human behavior, and then the best one out of all of them has definitely been relationship building,
Mm-hmm.
because it allows me to approach things a little bit uniquely with my children in ways that other parents are seeing this as I'm the parent, you're the child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it more of we're a family,
Yeah.
and everything we do together is done together with all of us. So it's helped me relationship building wise with the kids.
Okay, we have another question from a soulful ambassador. How did you navigate the emotions and challenges of reconnecting? I can only imagine how layered that experience must have been, between the anticipation, the emotions, and the adjustments on both sides. What helped you stay grounded through it all?
That was difficult in itself as well, because I had to listen to a lot of her life and what she'd been told,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to learn, and it was sometimes very hard learning some of the stories and the narratives that she'd been told. And I made myself one promise.
Mhm.
when we got and this was throughout the entire 20 years. I thought, if ever we do get reunited, I'm not going to be that parent that says, "Oh, your mom was horrible and your mom was this and your mom." I didn't want to
Mm.
be that.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, she said, "Mom did this or mom did that," and I was very much like, "Well, I'm sure she had her reasons,
Mhm.
or whatever the case may be." So I tried to be as diplomatic as I could, and again, sometimes that is hard to navigate when you've heard things that have been said about you that are
Yeah.
not true.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be the one to start a rant and say, no, that's complete and utter rubbish. That's not how it happened
Mhm.
and whatever else. So what I've tended to do is kind of try to explain my side of the story in
Mhm.
a very calm way as best as I can, and say, look, this is closer to how it happened. And I said, and you have to remember, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So my memories of it might not be accurate. Your
Yeah.
mom's memories of it might not be accurate. We're both
Mhm.
going to have two different stories, and neither one of them are going to be exact, because
Yeah.
this is something that was 2 decades old. I said,
Mhm.
but you're going to have to learn to take some of what your mom said and some of what I said, and try and put the picture together yourself and build your own story of what you think really happened.
Okay, another powerful question from one of our soulful ambassadors. What advice do you have for parents who have lost contact with their children? That's such an important question because so many parents find themselves in this situation, whether due to circumstances, misunderstandings, or time passing. What words of wisdom would you share with those hoping to reconnect?
So I mean, my situation is very different. I would try always to um, keep an open line for them to be able to find you. I believe the majority of the time that they will always get in touch one way or another. Curiosity, or growing old, they will be at the point where they will want to find you. And if and when they do, the most important thing is not to turn it into a war. Like I said, I didn't want to do this with my daughter's mom. I didn't want to say, "Oh, your mom was horrible and she kept you away from me and she did this
Mhm.
and she did that," because the minute it turns into a war and a battle between parents,
Mhm.
it's going to become really, really difficult, because you have to remember that if their mother or father that has been kept, they've brought them up, and that child is going to see them as their wonderful parent no matter which way you paint them,
Mhm.
and they're only going to resent you if the only thing you've got to say about the parent they love is really bad and negative things.
Yeah, that's true. Another question from a soulful ambassador. How did you manage to balance being a father while maintaining your own identity? Parenthood can sometimes feel all consuming, and it's easy to lose yourself in the role. How have you navigated staying true to who you are while also being present for your children?
Again, a lot of times just down to open communication,
Mhm.
where I've been able to turn around and say, right, we've been to the park, we've spent a bit of time down the beach, we've had a little bit of silly time, and later this afternoon, I'm going to go down the rifle range. I'm going to go and do a bit of shooting, and have a little bit of time for me to be myself.
Mhm.
And I'm fortunate enough that we, as a family, we've managed to be able to keep that balance of, sometimes it's family time, sometimes it's my time, sometimes it's private time, and we all respect each other's kind of, my daughter's like, she's 12 now, so she's in that preteen stage of slamming a bedroom door and kind of playing the music, and
Yeah.
listening to music and locking the world out. So, but at the same time, I understand that's her growing into herself and into finding her own personality. So, I don't kind of make a big deal out of it. I don't kind of force myself on it. I understand that sometimes she needs her time too, so
Mm.
I let her have that. And
Mm.
the exchange, that mutual exchange, is they allow me sometimes to have my time as as an adult,
Yeah.
doing things like this, for example, or going shooting, or whatever it is that I want to do to kind of have a bit of time for myself.
Yeah, having time for yourself is not bad. Hope parents and parents to be are hearing this. Another question from a soulful ambassador. With multiple children and stepchildren, how do you and your partner manage responsibilities at home? That's a big one. A blended family comes with unique dynamics, And making sure responsibilities are shared fairly can be tricky. How do you and your partner divide tasks? And what strategies have worked best for you both?
So this one, and again, this has not been plain sailing, so please don't be under any delusion that me and my wife have had 20 happy years of marvelous marriage where we've never had arguments, because that's definitely not the case. We have had disagreements. We have had times where we're not happy with each other, or and it's taken time to get to know each other and get into a routine of who's doing what and how it's going to work. And I think where the biggest problem is with a lot of couples and a lot of families is simply expectations. It's so I'll explain a little thing here that happened with my stepson, for example, who was disappointed with his biological dad, and he was constantly disappointed by his biological dad. And we sat down the one day, and I said, "Well, what's the problem?" And he said, "He doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. He acts like this and he acts like that." And I said to him, "Well, let me ask you something. Has he ever done A or B, or did he ever do C or D, or and he's gone, well, no, not really." I said, "So who's at fault here?" I said, "Is he at fault for not doing the things that you expect him to do when he's only ever been himself?" I said, "Or are you at fault because you're expecting him to be somebody he's not and never has been, and then feel let down when he's not the person that you expect him to be?" And it kind of changed his perspective a little bit. And he said, I suppose so." I said, You're expecting him to be somebody who he's not." I said, "He's not letting you down. You're letting you down by expecting more from him than he's able to give." So as a family, I think a lot of the time expectations are where families go wrong. If your wife is constantly expecting you to wash up, and you're constantly expecting her to wash up, then you're going to have problems, because neither one of you is going to do the washing up, and you're both going to row over who should have done it. So sometimes you have to ask, are they letting me down, or is it my expectations and I'm letting myself down because I'm expecting more than them, than what they are, kind of thing. So and once you open a dialogue and kind of work things out between you, a lot of the time the majority of things are easily resolved with the right levels of communication.
Another deep question from a soulful ambassador. Your daughter came out as trans after you reunited. How did you navigate that as a parent? That must have been an emotional and complex experience. Reconnecting after years apart is already a journey, and adding such a deeply personal revelation to it must have brought a mix of emotions. How did you approach it? What steps did you take to ensure she felt loved and supported while also processing your own feelings?
So I mean, we did kind of cover that a little bit, where we spoke about the fact that I've been in rooms with people in the past which are have different ideologies from me,
Yes.
and again, it's one of those things that I just had to implement that, and kind of let her know that I will love her and support her no matter what. Whatever decisions she makes, even if I don't agree with them, it won't change my love as a parent for her.
Another question from a soulful ambassador. How do you create a supportive, open-minded environment for your children? That's such an important question. Every child needs to feel safe and accepted at home. How have you intentionally built that environment? Are there specific conversations, routines, or values you emphasize to encourage openness and understanding in your household?
Um, Open-minded. I think, it's kind of. I suppose I try to let them know that they can talk no matter what. So if a child feels uncomfortable, then they're not going to kind of share and open up to you. And the way I kind of get around that, and this is something for many parents, especially new parents, please take this on board. When your child comes to you about with all the little things, no matter how small they are, give it your every ounce of attention. whether it's a painting they've done, whether it's a little tiny cut, whether it's a speck of dust on the end of their nose, whatever it is, to them, it's huge. To you, it's a little thing, but to them, it's huge. And the problem is if they ever start to feel that they can't come to you with the little things,
That is true.
then there's no way they'll ever come to you with the big things.
Yeah, that is true.
So, let them understand that no matter what the problem is, whether it's big or small, they can come to you and they can talk to you about it.
Okay, another question from a soulful ambassador. How do you navigate parenting stepchildren while maintaining balance with your biological children? Blended families come with their own set of dynamics, and finding balance is key. Have you developed specific strategies to ensure all your children, biological and step, feel equally valued and supported? How do you handle any challenges that arise in maintaining fairness and connection with each of them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty lucky there. Like I said, they are grown up. So, even though the youngest one wasn't when we got together, so it's just finding the right balance of what they expect and what you can give, and not making any unrealistic kind of promises or anything like that, and most importantly, being true to yourself and who you are.
Another question from a soulful ambassador. What have been the biggest challenges in step parenting, and how have you overcome them? Step parenting is definitely a journey with ups and downs. Blending different parenting styles, earning trust, and ensuring all kids feel equally loved can be tough. What have been the biggest hurdles for you, and what approaches have helped you build strong relationships with your stepchildren?
I think the biggest challenges have kind of it's been a case of explaining to them that, look, I'm not your dad, and I know I'm not your dad. You know I'm not your dad. You have a dad. So don't think of me as kind of a replacement. Instead, think of me as kind of an extra. It's kind of you've got another family member, not a family member that's trying to replace anybody, but somebody that's coming in as an addition. So that's the most important thing. And again, it's I have been pretty lucky with regards of the boys' dads have not. There's never been an issue where we've had a major disagreement, and a lot of the time, all open dialogue has been managed to sort everything out. If there's ever been any disagreements, it's usually sorted reasonably amicably, to be fair. So I've been lucky there in those circumstances.
How about your wife? How has she embraced being a stepmom to your other kids?
I'm pretty lucky with that, because of the fact that she kind of felt a little bit like she owed me because of being a step parent for years. And then when my daughter got back in touch, she said, "Okay, I guess it's my turn now." And I think when we first got together, in fact, she did tell me when I said, there are other children. I don't think she believed me. And she said, "No, I'm not sure if this is true." So when my daughter did come back, and you can see we are so alike, it's untrue. And she's like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely Gavin's offspring," So it was good, and she's she's taken well to it, to be fair, and we are doing our best. With us being a very large and very mixed family, that's the hardest part. We're all spread over different parts of the country as well, so it's that makes another challenge, the geographical difference. So trying to give everybody the levels of attention that we can be quite difficult. But yeah, she's handled it well, and I'm grateful for that.
That is nice. Okay, another question from a soulful ambassador. What has worked for you in strengthening your relationship with your children?
Yeah. So that one is, common grounds of silliness. And what I'll do, I'll have silly little things where, especially with me and my daughter, we'll do silly things together. And she's got this little teddy, crazy frog teddy, and you press the belly, and it does the whole crazy thing, ding 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 ding. Yeah, and so yeah, she'll sneak it into the bedroom of a night time, and and I'll wait until it goes quiet, and then all of a sudden, bedtime, I'll press the button, and this thing will start going ding 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 ding, and my wife will go, "Oh, you brought that thing in here again!" And my daughter will hear it from the next room. She'll come running in, giggling, going, "You got it, Daddy, you got it." So we have these silly things that we do, and yeah, we have our bonding moments that really really help, and it's about having those silly little daft moments that allow us to kind of have a great relationship, because we can always we know she knows that certain things I'll say in certain situations, and my wife even turns around and says, "I can have a conversation with you when you're not even there." She says, "I'll be talking to myself around the kitchen, and I know exactly what you're going to say, or I'll hear something on the telly and know exactly what you'll say if you were here, or what you would say if you were here." So yeah, it's having that those levels of silliness. Definitely, because we all take life too seriously at times, and occasionally you have to just let go, be a bit daft, and just enjoy life.
That is really lovely. Let me ask, how has your daughter handled meeting her half sister?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was great. Yeah, she they got on really really well straight away, and it was great because my oldest daughter had never had a younger sister and said, "Oh, I always wanted a younger sister and never had that chance." And then with my youngest daughter only ever having brothers, or older half brothers, for her having a sister was really really something that was like, "Oh wow, I get a sister," So they both bonded very, very quickly, despite the age difference, because there is, quite a big age difference. They got on really, really well straight away. So again, that was something I was extremely grateful for, because I was concerned that there might be a little bit of resentment. The older one saying, "Oh, this isn't very nice. I'm seeing, a younger sibling having all the love from a dad that I never got." And I was worried that resentment might be there, but no, they actually, it's really wonderful seeing them together.
That is really nice. What about your son? Like, do they have a relationship? Do they communicate with each other?
Not yet. So I mean, he hasn't been in touch, and I'm really really hoping. Like I say, he recently turned 18, and I'm hoping that in the not too distant future, he does make contact, which would be wonderful. And if he does, then he'll be welcome with open arms as part of the family. And I'm hoping that we all get on as well together as we have done. And like I said, I've been really really lucky so far, so I'm hoping that luck continues.
Yeah. Okay, another question from a soulful ambassador. How can fathers build a strong connection with their children from infancy?
Um, I, I would think a lot of the time, like I said, involvement is definitely something. Never. I'll say never. I won't say the word never, but like try and avoid telling your child no. If you're doing something, they say, "Oh, can I help?" Don't say no. You know, I the amount of times with my daughter, I've been say building something because we've moved house and I'm building furniture, and she said, "Can I help?" And I said, "Yes. Can you put your hand right there and hold that piece firm and don't let it move?" And it probably was never going to move anyway, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere anyway. But she feels like she's involved and
Yeah.
part of it. Or I'll say, "Look, I've got these two bolts and I need a third one. Can you see if there's one there?" And she'll look, and that involvement makes them feel like they're valued. So that's one thing, and then the other thing is to always ask and not assume, because with children, we as adults assume we know, because we know how things work. We assume children do. So you have to be kind of there. It's a new world to them, and they don't know what things are yet. They don't know what traffic is, and they don't know, that it's cold inside a fridge and hot inside an oven and whatever else. So a lot of the time, it's a case of explaining to them and showing them and that kind of thing, which makes a massive difference. And then when it comes to how they're feeling, again, we don't know how they're feeling. Just because they're sitting there silently doesn't mean to say that they're happy. It could be
Yeah.
the fact that they're too scared to want to talk. So, got that constant kind of checking in on them and saying, "Hey, is everything okay? Anything you want to talk about? What did you do today, or how did things go?"
Mm-hmm.
And I found if you're struggling to communicate with your child,
Mm-hmm.
especially like the age my daughter's at now, kind of between kind of when they first start going to school, right up
Mm-hmm.
until kind of high school kind of thing, if you ask them about their day, they won't really tell you much. They won't share much. You say, "Oh, what did you do?" "Oh, nothing. Same old lessons, boring." And
Mm-hmm.
what did you have? Yeah, so it's something like I say. If you want to communicate with them, then instead of asking them about their day and asking them what they had for their school lunch, they won't remember because it's not interesting to them. So ask them what their friend did and what their friend had for their lunch and
Yeah.
their best friend. They'll remember that because that is of interest to them. And again, this is down to Jim Pyle's wisdom here. Yeah, but he said, if your best friend, if your daughter's best friend, for example, if she's called Rebecca, he'll say, "Oh, so what did you and Rebecca do today? What did
Yeah.
Rebecca have for her lunch today?" They'll tell you all about what Rebecca did, and then you're learning
Mm-hmm.
by what's been said about what happened during your daughter's day as well. So it's or your son's day, that they'll know more about what their best friend did than what they did.
Yeah, good advice. So, another soulful ambassador asks, you used intelligence training to give your daughter an unfair advantage in life. Can you share some examples? Would you give some of those unfair advantages?
I'll be happy to do that because it's something that uh we have to strive to do our best to look after our children,
Mm-hmm.
and teaching them skills like situational awareness, and that kind of thing is huge. So I play this game. It's a little bit of a play on words because the family name being Stone. We
Mm-hmm.
play this game called Mood Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're walking through the city, I'll just randomly tap my daughter on the shoulder and I'll say Mood Stone, and she'll say okay. And what that means is the next person we see, she has to tell me what mood she thinks they're in and why.
Mm-hmm.
By looking at them, say, "Oh, he looks angry, or he looks sad, or he looks busy, or he looks flustered, or she looks
Mm-hmm.
distracted, or whatever the case may be," and then tell me the reasons why. That she can see. She's got like big, heavy shopping bags, and she might say, "Oh, it looks like she's got all that shopping she's got to get home, and that's why she's
Mm-hmm.
looking rushed." And so we'll try and do that, and that in itself helps number one to have an understanding of people a little bit better and
Okay.
try and see things from their perspective, whether they look angry or whether they look sad, but also to have a better kind of view of her surroundings. So she's learning to get into the habit of watching people and seeing what they look like, whether they're a threat or a danger or what mood they're
Mm-hmm.
in, and being able to just judge situations, and people's actions and reactions accordingly. And that will give her a massive advantage because if she does see somebody and they do look like they're going to be a problem, they do look angry or they do look nasty or whatever the case may be, she can then decide whether she needs to take action, whether she needs to go inside a shop and ask for help or whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
may be. So that's one of the games we play. Um, we also do a game called the Silly Plate game,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where she's got to look at the license plate of the car behind, and look at the letters, the last three letters on the license plate, and come up with a silly word for that particular thing. So if it's like FRT, for example, just "Oh, fart to farty car," or things like that, So and it can be anything at all. We just try and make it the more obscure and the more silly, the better,
Mm-hmm.
because it's making it fun. And what happens is, we do this thing where we play rounds, and if you see the same car twice,
Mm-hmm.
you get double point. And this is like the same car in like two different locations,
Mm-hmm.
and other cars have been in between. Then you get double points, and you win that particular round. And if you see the same car three times,
Mm-hmm.
then you win the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So and that has to be, like I say, in three different locations. So and what that does, it helps her to get into the habit of looking at the cars around her, looking at motorbikes, looking at other little things, and getting used to spotting the license plates and reading the letters, and getting into the habit of that. And that will help her to identify if she's being followed later on in life. She'll have got into the habit of looking in the rearview mirror
Mm-hmm.
and going, "Huh, seen that car twice now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just send a little an alarm bell ringing because she's got so used to doing that.
Yeah.
It'll help build a situational awareness up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we play a lot of games like that, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could go on forever with all the little things we do, which are just, you know, it's fun for her, but at the same time, it's also a kind of subconscious training for her at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Okay.
And I encourage all parents to do it. You know, if even if it's just something as silly as play spot the motorbike,
Mm-hmm.
you know, while you're on car journeys and that kind of thing, or anything that keeps them occupied and keeps them entertained and is fun, but at the same time allows them to kind of you know, increase their levels of situational awareness. And then the only other thing I do, which Hollywood gets a lot of things wrong when it comes to spies and spying and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the one thing they do get right is the old white panel van with the sliding door. You know, when
Yeah.
somebody that opens up and somebody gets dragged inside the back of the
Mm-hmm.
van. That's something that is, you know, if professional kidnappers are operating, that
Mm-hmm.
is something they are going to be using. Is a plain white panel van,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, a little panel van. So what I started doing is my daughter, for her, I started nicknaming them kidnap vans. And everywhere we go, yeah, she go, look, Daddy, there's a kid van, there's a kidnap van, you know, and we just like kind of, and what it did, again, it got her into the habit. She still does it now, and you know, it's become a default name. You know, I go, oh, where is such and such, Lauren? She go, oh, it's just up there, but you see where that kidnap van is? It's just past that, and of course,
Yeah.
it's got her in the frame of mind of looking at those as kidnap vans, and it's not anything out the ordinary to her as an ice cream van or a fire engine. You know, that's an
Mm-hmm.
ice cream van, that's a fire engine, that's a kidnap van.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and of course, what that results in is her becoming so aware of the fact that if she sees one of those, cross the road, get away from it. You know,
Yeah.
or be aware
Mm-hmm.
at the very very least that when you're walking past something, it poses a risk.
That is really nice. Thank you for these powerful tips. Another soulful ambassador asks, what skills from your world of espionage can parents apply to their everyday lives?
Ooh, I think um I think a lot of it, this is going to be down to like safety and backup plans, and things like safe words. So, I mean, for example, one of the things I do if we're going out, if we're having a family day out, and I'm taking my daughter with me, and I urge all parents to do this, especially with young toddlers, is
Mm-hmm.
take a photo of them that day, that morning. If you're going on a day trip out somewhere, you know, whether it's to the mall or whether it's to a fairground for the day or a
Mm-hmm.
fete or anything that's happening, take a photo of them that day, because
Mm-hmm.
what you've got the most up-to-date recent photo
Mm-hmm.
on hand immediately in the clothes they are wearing currently. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that way, if anything happens and they do happen to go missing, and the police they're going to ask certain questions. Do you have a recent photograph? Well, the answer is yes, it was taken today. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to ask what are they wearing, and of course, we all know with children and in a state of panic, you're like, oh, hang on, did he have the brown trousers on or the blue ones? Did he have the red jumper on or the you know, and your mind,
Yeah.
you know, when you're in that state of panic, it's going to play tricks on you, and you're going to question yourself. You're going to not be able to make those decisions, or be able to answer so quickly. So it's going to be able to save a hell of a lot of time and
Mm-hmm.
make jobs easier for the likes of police officers and security guards and anybody else involved. If you can say,
Mm-hmm.
here's a photo of
Mm-hmm.
exactly what he was wearing that you can
Mm-hmm.
circulate, that was taken this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and that in itself allows you to kind of save yourself a lot of time and a lot of thought of what was he wearing, did I put him in this, did I put him in that. Also, you know, if you've got like a bright day glow, but I bought one for my daughter, like a day glow workers, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
what road workers wear and that kind of thing. And it just says Daddy's little helper on the back. And if we went out anywhere for the day, I made to put her in that because I want her in bright colours. So if there's if we go out into a crowd, she's going to stand out. I don't want her dressed in kind of dark clothing where she's going to disappear into that crowd.
Okay.
Um, so those are things I learned. And again, it's something that if we go out, I mean, we went to the steam fair, the ones there's all these big steam engines and fairground rides and that kind of thing, and it's a mobile site. And the one thing you could see, no matter where you were in the steam fair, I mean, it was a massive, massive site, miles and miles of different rides and different things going on. But you could see the Ferris wheel, no matter where you were.
Yeah.
No matter what part of the site you were in, you could see the Ferris wheel. And from the very beginning, I said, right, if we get lost, if we get split up, and I know we live in a day and age of mobile phones, but you can't always rely on technology.
Yeah.
They can easily be lost or batteries go flat. So I say, if we get split up, and you're worried, we all just link up at the Ferris wheel. Because no matter where you are, you can see the Ferris wheel, so you can get your way to it. Just get there and wait there until I come to you. And if for any reason the Ferris wheel is compromised for any reason, then it's meet at Daddy's car. Just go to Daddy's car and wait there. Like hypothetically, if the fairground was closed down or there was an accident or a fire and you couldn't get to the Ferris wheel, then Daddy's car was the secondary kind of a rendezvous point, and that was it. And little measures like that save you all walking around in circles and missing each other trying to find each other, and saves a lot of time, makes life a little bit easier if you all know exactly where you're going to go in the event of something going wrong. And those little things, and even safe words, that you can teach your children to say. And it might be like a word they slip into a sentence that doesn't fit, but they can say, or a relative that they might be able to turn around and say, is my cousin Jackson coming round today? And that means they're not comfortable and they're not happy and they can't talk in front of a particular person. And they're giving you that clue, so you could use whatever you want, and that means either I'm in danger, or even if they're at a party or somebody's house and they call up and they say, Mommy, is my cousin Jackson coming around today? That's their signal to say, come and get me, something's wrong. And these little things that can go a long way in helping kids that might not normally be able to communicate. If they know they've got that safety net there for them, it helps to make them feel safer too.
That was so insightful, and the tips are also helpful. I hope parents and parents-to-be are taking notes. Also, if you have younger siblings, these are some of the tips to write down. We have our last question from one of our soulful ambassadors. How can fathers step up and be more present in their child's life?
So again, it goes back to about prioritizing time for them, and not just saying, okay, this week at some point I'll spend a bit of time with the kids. It's about writing it down in your diary if you have one, or putting it in your schedule if you have one, and and giving your family that same priority as you would a dental appointment or a hospital appointment or a works meeting. That's really, you have to turn around and say, okay, if this was a dental appointment or if this was a really important works meeting, would I miss this? Would I be late for this? Would I, or would I be giving it all my attention? And if the answer is I'd be giving it all my attention, then do exactly the same for your children and your family as what you do for your boss. Because I'll tell you something, your boss will not remember you 5 minutes after you've left, but your children will remember you forever. So, it's one of the things there, put them time in the diary and make it an actual appointment for your children. Say, right, from 2 p.m. on Saturday, I'm going to spend 2 hours with the children. That is their time, and nothing is going to interrupt that. And if you make that priority time for them, they'll know and they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I remember when I was younger, every Sunday after church, my mom and I had this little ritual, just the two of us. We'd sit in the car, parked outside the grocery store, eating our favorite ice cream, or sometimes we'd go on a lunch date. I can't remember all the little details, but what stuck with me was the feeling of being present together. Those moments, no matter how small, are what I cherish the most.
Oh, definitely. And these are the moments that all the children are going to remember forever, and not the toys, not the other things. It's going to be that like you say, when you say, she was present,
Yeah.
that's when it counts. That's when it's the most important. You know, my daughter and I do this silly thing where we do our silly dancing, and you know, I'll stick you know, a song on the YouTube video, have
Hmm.
it blasting, and we'll dance around the living room and do silly things. She'll jump all over the furniture and you know, kind of bounce around across the sofa and that. But you know, it's what, 3 minutes. You
Yeah.
know, the average song, 3.5 minutes,
Hmm.
and she's enjoying every minute of it, you know, and those are the moments that she's going to remember forever.
Yeah, yeah. I also used to do that with my mom. Like, I remember keeping her company when she worked out or did yoga. It was usually on the TV, and there was this one day when the instructor was doing sit ups. She was trying so hard to do them, but she just couldn't. It was so funny. I started laughing at her, and then it became contagious. We both just sat there laughing. And you know what? That was the last day she ever attempted sit ups. We also used to dance in the living room as well. Yeah, and up to now, we still do it. It's something that just stuck, you know? We never saw it as a strange thing. It's just what we do. The silly little things, they keep us moving, keep us connected. And honestly, those are the moments that matter the most.
Yeah, silliness should never be underestimated.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you hope your children will take away from your unique parenting approach?
So my answer to this one, um, there's two answers actually. No, number one was happiness.
Hmm.
You know, that's all any parent could ever want really for their children. You know, is for them to be happy in life. Um, but number two, and I remember writing this one out. I don't know where I put the notes. Um, but I have this thing that all I want for my children
Hmm.
is to do better than I did.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the only thing I ask of them is to teach their children to do better than they did.
Hmm.
And I want them to pass that on so that
Hmm.
they can teach their children to do better
Hmm.
than they did. And that is a lineage that I'd like to
Yeah.
get passed on with each and every generation, so that with every generation that comes along, you know, their only goal is to just live a little bit better and do a little bit better than their parents did. You know,
Hmm.
and with that, throughout life, they're just going to increase the value of their life, you know. And when I say a little bit better, it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, a flashier car or a bigger house
Yeah.
or whatever else. It can just mean being a slightly better parent, living a slightly happier life, having a bit more time for things that make them happy. So, you know, a lot of people see success as material things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be
Hmm.
a material thing. It can just be something along the lines of learning to, you know, have more knowledge and wisdom to be able
Hmm.
to give their children a better life, and passing that on to their children to do better in every area. And as long as we all keep growing and trying to do better than, you know, than who we were yesterday, who our parents were, and pass that on to our children and teach them to keep that going, then we're just going to keep improving generation after generation. And I wish every family out there exactly the same thing, you know, just to basically try and become all of us better people in every possible way we can.
Yeah, okay. You're working on a new public event where people can benefit from elite spy training. Can you tell us more about it and how it might even help parents navigate life?
Sure. So I'm doing a an event later on this year. So I've teamed up with a few friends from within the intelligence community in MI6 and the CIA and one or two other different kind of intelligence agencies. What we've done is we've started combining lessons of the psychological training and the education that intelligence officers get, that give them an advantage in life in everything they do. You know, the kind of tactical thinking and the strategic methods of how things are done as a spy. And what we've done is we've condensed that training down into an event. We will be putting tickets on sale later on this year, where people will be able
Hmm.
to attend that event. And this is available to everybody in the general public. And no matter what you want out of life, whether it's a promotion, a better
Hmm.
job, a new home, a new car, whatever it is, and I have helped people achieve all sorts of things.
Hmm.
You know, there was one guy who come to me. he came to me and his problem was, and it's a common problem, he wanted a Ferrari and didn't have enough money for a Ferrari. And I said, yeah, join the club. And now we put a plan together for him. And like many other people who want a Ferrari and don't have the money, I changed his way of thinking about it and his approach on it. He now gets paid to own a Ferrari.
Yeah.
So that's something that, you know, is just by making a few adjustments in the way you approach things. I've done the same thing for the one friend of mine. He came to me, he wanted to buy a house. He was worried about putting all his savings into a house with the with the property market. And again, he's now got a 4-bedroom house that in the end, he actually he paid nothing for it. He had it for free. So there's lots of things that can be done if you just change your perspective on going away from how people normally do things and think about things in a different way. So whatever you want. I mean, yeah. One last example here. There was one guy who come to me and he said, I really want to fly a helicopter and get a helicopter's license. And you know, it costs thousands and thousands of pounds, and I'll never be able to afford to do it. And I helped him out. He got paid to get his helicopter license, and now gets paid as a helicopter charter pilot. That's his job. So these are things that I help people to do. They come to me and they say, "This is what I want. How can I get it?" And instead of just teaching them now how to get that particular thing, I teach people now how to think in the same way as I do, so they can get whatever they want. And that's irrelevant to whether it's a home, a promotion, a helicopter, whatever, whatever they want. I help them to be able to achieve that goal by changing their way of thinking. So yeah, I mean, there isn't a website or anything up for this at the moment, but by all means, people are more than welcome to connect with me on the likes of LinkedIn or social media, and the usual means of kind of following me. And there will be definitely more information on this coming out. So kind of watch this space, and hopefully somebody might be able to benefit from it.
Yeah, I know they will benefit a lot. You've got a wealth of knowledge and insights, not just on parenthood, but on life as well. It's really amazing how your experiences have shaped such a unique perspective. So, what's next for you, both personally and professionally?
Personally, I'm looking at where I want to live long term, because my wife is a green card holder and is going for US citizenship this year, and I've lived in the States a couple of times, and I'm looking at the possibility of moving back over to the States. At the same time, her parents live in Spain, and we do spend a lot of time backwards and forwards going to and from Spain, and we are also toying with the idea of going to live in Spain as well. So we have to weigh up the balances between Spain and America, and how which one's going to be best and which one we're going to go for. And it might even end up being both, depending on how well things go. But yeah, but I have decided that I don't think I want to spend forever in England. The weather's too miserable. So that's the personal side of things. And professionally, I have more books coming out this year, which are fiction novels that are on the way. My fiction novels that I've already got out have now got the audio books out to them as well now. I've got another non-fiction book on the way, and again my events, which will be coming later this year. I do my YouTube channel also, where I get different people from the intelligence community, different spies from different agencies, and we talk about kind of our experiences in the field and things we've done, and the real world of spying. So yeah, let everybody know to please check that out.
Yes, yes. All the social media links will be posted on our pages so that our soulful ambassadors can continue this conversation on your page, or even check out other things you're working on. So yeah, they'll have access to interact and connect with you. Yeah, so it has been amazing interacting with you and learning from you. As an aspiring parent-to-be, I think I'm now full of knowledge, and I bet our soulful ambassadors have also enjoyed this episode. Yes. And I love your parenting skills because you've created an environment where your kids can easily approach you. Your relationship with your kids actually reminds me of my relationship with my mom. Yeah, I really like it.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm hoping some good comes of it, especially for your audience, and if it makes their life easier and better, then great. And thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful conversation, and you've been a great host.
You're welcome. Thank you as well for taking your time to be with us today. Wow, what an incredible journey we've taken today exploring the realities of parenthood. We've covered so much ground, from the sleepless nights and challenging moments to those precious little victories that make it all worthwhile. I think what really stands out is how parenthood transforms us in ways we never expected, teaching us patience we didn't know we had and showing us strengths we never knew existed. What I love most about our discussion today is how honest it's been. We've talked about the real stuff, the beautiful chaos of family life, the importance of maintaining our own identity while being a parent, and those magical moments that make our hearts burst with joy. It's clear that while parenthood isn't always easy, it's filled with countless opportunities for growth, love, and genuine connection. Let me share 3 practical steps you can take this week to create a better balance in your parenting journey. First, schedule a daily 15-minute me time ritual. It might seem small, but even these few minutes of doing something just for you, whether it's enjoying a cup of coffee in peace, doing some quick stretches, or reading a few pages of a book, can make a world of difference in how you show up for your family. Second, create a family calendar that includes dedicated one-on-one time with each family member. This isn't about grand gestures. It could be as simple as a weekly bedtime story session with your little one, a morning walk with your partner, or a special breakfast date with your teenager. The key is making it consistent and treating it as important as any other commitment. Third, start a gratitude practice focused on celebrating small wins. Each evening, acknowledge one thing you did well as a parent that day, one moment of joy you experienced, and one thing you learned. This helps shift your focus from what you think you should be doing to appreciating what you're already doing right. Remember, these steps aren't about achieving perfection. They're about progress. Some days you'll nail all 3, other days you might barely manage one, and that's completely okay. The goal isn't to be a perfect parent, but to be a present, growing, and loving one. You're doing better than you think you are, and it's okay to take baby steps toward finding your balance. If you're looking to connect with Gavin and dive deeper into the parenting conversation, you can find him across all social media platforms. He's active on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, sharing valuable insights and experiences about parenthood. I'm particularly excited to tell you about his book, The Positive Effect: Transforming Parenting with a Positive Mindset. I actually just picked up my own copy, and let me tell you, it's a game changer for anyone on their parenting journey. The book offers practical strategies and mindset shifts that can transform your approach to parenting. For our special soulful ambassador who requested this episode, this book would be especially helpful as you prepare for your own parenting journey. For those of you interested in something different, Gavin also has several fascinating books about espionage. Who knew parenting and spycraft could come from the same brilliant mind? You'll find all of these resources, along with his spy-related content, on his YouTube channel. To make things easier for you, I'll include direct links to all of Gavin's social media profiles and his website in the episode description. You'll also find links to his books there, so you can start exploring his wisdom right away. Trust me, his content is worth checking out. It's helped me personally, and I know it will help you too. I'm excited to tell you about our amazing merch collection that's available right now. We've got something for everyone, from cozy hoodies and stylish t-shirts to practical items like travel mugs and tote bags. You can also find some really cool accessories like pins, magnets, and stickers. For your home, we've got beautiful tapestries, comfy pillows, and wall art. And don't forget to check out our phone cases. You can find the link to our merch store in the description box or through our Instagram handle at heartbeat_chronicles and Soulful Riley. Now let me tell you where you can find us and tune into our content. We're everywhere you love to hang out online: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, and Threads under Heartbeat Chronicles Podcast. For listening and watching, take your pick from YouTube, Rumble, Pods Network, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Buzzsprout, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Overcast, Castro, Castbox, Podfriend, and Good Pods. True Fans is another great place to find us. We release new episodes every Tuesday at 12 p.m. East African Time. It's completely free to subscribe, so make sure to hit that notification button to stay up to date with all our soulful living content. Whether you prefer watching or listening, we've made it super easy to access our content wherever and however works best for you. I want to extend a huge thank you to Gavin Stone for joining us today and sharing such incredible insights about parenthood. Your honesty and wisdom have made this episode truly special, and I know our listeners will take away so much from your experience. To all our wonderful, soulful ambassadors who tune in week after week, your support means the world to us. I'm especially grateful to our listener from the UK who inspired this episode. As you embark on your parenthood journey with your partner, I hope today's conversation has given you valuable insights and practical guidance. To everyone who likes, comments, and engages with our content, you make this community what it is. Your feedback and suggestions drive us to create better content every week. Keep those messages coming in our DMs about topics you'd like us to cover or changes you'd like to see. This is your podcast as much as it is ours. Today's episode is proof that our community's input shapes our content, and I'm so thankful for each one of you who takes the time to connect with us. Whether you're watching or listening right now, your presence and engagement make this podcast what it is. Before we wrap up today's episode, I'd love you to take a moment and reflect on your own journey, whether you're already a parent or preparing for that chapter in your life. Think about how you can create space for yourself while nurturing your family. Remember, it's not selfish to prioritize your own needs alongside your children's. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your biggest takeaways on social media using #SoulfulParenting. Your story might be exactly what another parent needs to hear right now. The beauty of parenting lies in its imperfection. Every day won't be Instagram worthy, and that's perfectly okay. Some days you'll feel like you're crushing it, and others you'll wonder if you're doing anything right. Trust me, you're doing better than you think. I want you to carry this thought with you. Being a parent is just one part of your incredible story. You're still that person with dreams, ambitions, and passions. Parenthood doesn't erase who you are. It adds another beautiful layer to your identity. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need these reminders too. Your support helps us reach more parents who need to hear they're not alone on this journey. Until next Tuesday, keep being authentically you, embrace the chaos, and remember that your best is more than enough. See you next time, soulful ambassadors. In today's episode, we delved into the complex and rewarding journey of navigating parenthood and how to balance being a parent, a partner, and still maintaining your own identity. We heard firsthand from our guests, Jess Koffelt from Part 1 and Gavin Stone, about their unique experiences and how they've managed to balance love, responsibility, and self-care in their parenting journeys. From reconnecting with estranged children to navigating step parenting to finding strategies for avoiding burnout. Today's conversation was truly enlightening. Thank you so much for joining us today on Heartbeat Chronicles. I hope this episode has given you some valuable insights into the challenges and triumphs of parenthood. Whether you're a new parent or have been on this journey for a while, we can all take something away from today's conversation. Remember, it's okay to feel like you're juggling multiple roles, but don't forget to make time for yourself, your partner, and your personal growth.